It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of August 8th, 2003. We've got 3 films to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is the movie adaptation of the popular TV series, S.W.A.T.
I want you to put together a young, top-notch team for me, Dan. You select them, you train them, you mold them. I'm beginning to like this guy already. Who's SWAT?
We're awaiting the arrival of an international fugitive.
Family's fortune is estimated in the billions of dollars. I would give $100 million to whoever gets me out of here.
You for real or what, Holmes?
$100 million!
Montella's escaping.
Okay, guys, this is what we're trained for.
You will be ready for anyone and anything.
So S.W.A.T, of course, is based off the 1975 TV series, which was a hit back in the day. Ran for 2 seasons on ABC and then got canceled. Not because the show was not doing well critically or ratings-wise. Mostly it was canceled because of its depiction of violence, which ultimately led to its cancellation of a 3rd year in general, despite the fact the show still was very popular. And you still see a lot of homages and references even in many movies and TV shows to this very day. So this is, of course, the featured film version of that series, where you have Samuel L. Jackson, Colin Farrell, Michelle Rodriguez, LL Cool J, Josh Charles, Jeremy Renner, Brian Van Holt, Olivia Martinez, a part of the cast, where you have Jackson and a SWAT team. They are tasked to escort an imprisoned drug kingpin international fugitive to prison after he offers a $100 million to anyone who can break him out of police custody. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a $100 million reward. I mean, like that's my favorite. That's my favorite line from the whole trailer. Just the way he says the line $100 million. $100 million. It's just like, you know, I could just see Olivia Martinez reading that line and thinking to himself, you know, I could go the Dr. Evil route with it, but no, I have to be more cartoonishly evil than Dr. Evil was. So I'll just go like $100 million. It's like, that's my favorite line from the whole movie, honestly. I say that like the film is bad or anything. It's a competently made film. I mean, it's a film that I went to go see in theaters when it was out. I mean, I remember seeing it back then. I've very rarely gone back to it, not because I thought the movie was bad or anything. It's just I never really had the will to go back and watch it again, just because I just had other things I needed to do. I mean, quite honestly, I've never had any real intentions of going back to watching it. I just watched it again not too long ago to get ready for this, and it does still hold up a little bit. I think the cast overall is very good. I think it's cool to see guys like Jeremy Renner and Michelle Rodriguez before they became who they eventually became. It's cool to see Brian Van Holt before he made it big with Cougar Town in this, and you know, you got LL Cool J, Colin Farrell, Josh Charles, a lot of good people involved in here. Sometimes the action sequences are very hit and miss. Sometimes you get some really cool action scenes. The climax I thought was kind of cool. You can tell this was written by David Ayer because there's a lot of his tropes all over this film. It's just a film that I remember seeing it. I remember kind of like it back in the day. Never really had any real intentions of going to seeing it. I'm watching it again. Then 20 years later, watching it again, I thought it still was about as much as I remember it. A fun movie for what it is, but it's one that I will probably never watch again unless there's nothing else on. I mean, it's a movie that's just kind of like, I like it, but it's one I have never had any real intentions of watching multiple times, like many other movies. Like, I'd rather watch Bad Boys 2 multiple times for obvious reasons more than I would watch SWAT. I mean, come to think of it, I think when I did Bad Boys 2, I think I got the actor who plays the villain in that film confused with this one, because I swear they both sound the same, but I don't know if I did, but Jordi Mola is the villain in Bad Boys 2, and Olivier Martinez is the villain in SWAT, and I don't know. I feel like I got that wrong, but if I didn't, then just disregard what I just said. But if I did, I apologize. But yeah, not much more to say about this one. SWAT, decent flick, nothing too spectacular, nothing too amazing, but fine for what it is. So let's get to probably the best film that came out this weekend overall, and that is another remake, this time of a movie, and that is Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan in the classic Freaky Friday.
wake up. No. I have panic. Hurry up. What? I'm ready.
For the Coleman family,
Bye, honey. Make good choices.
Mondays are manic.
I can't believe it. It's Jake. He's not looking. He's totally looking.
Wednesdays are wild.
Yeah,
And for Anna and Tess, there's never enough time to really understand each other.
what? Time's up. After 6. You're ripping my life.
But on Friday,
You think my life is perfect?
You couldn't last one day in my high school.
Cookie.
that's all about to change. Because things are going to get a little freaky.
Why am I in Anna's room? This isn't mine. Those aren't mine. That's definitely not mine. So, you're in my body and I'm in your body. Oh!
I beg your pardon.
Oh, I'm like the Crypt Keeper!
Honey!
Could you like chill for a sec? I want my body back!
My wedding's tomorrow.
I can't marry Ryan! Ew!
Platinum Croft,
Don't even think about it.
Jamie Lee Curtis,
This song is killing me.
Lindsay Lohan,
Great bike. What? Not like I've ever been on it. I'm not allowed.
Walt Disney Pictures presents a movie about what it takes
I can't do this.
What do you mean?
to make someone else's dream
Do something!
come true.
And what you see is what you lack.
And selfless love will change your head. Why don't we like...
Yes, a jolt. Go. Okay, that was stupid.
Freaky Friday.
We're in Terry's school.
How do you walk from here?
It's 20 blocks.
Run fast.
You had one job, Freaky Friday. Open on a Friday. You don't open this on a Wednesday. But this did open up on a Wednesday, I guess because, school was getting ready to start, and so they wanted to get all the teens and kids into the theaters as they could before the school year started. I mean, that's probably the only reason why they did it, but still. The movie's called Freaky Friday. There's no reason why they should have opened up on a Wednesday, except for what I just mentioned. But this is Freaky Friday, the third adaptation of the story, 5th overall in the Freaky Friday series, and this time you have Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. Straightforward remake where you have them as a mother and daughter, respectively, whose bodies are switched by a mysterious and magical Chinese fortune cookie, and they have to live their lives in each other's bodies. So Lindsay Lohan has to live in the body of Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis has to live in the body of Lindsay Lohan until they can eventually come together in the end and, sing Kumbaya, pretty much. I mean, it's a straightforward story, but like with most body switch comedies, I'm really starting to notice it with a lot of the body switch movies, like, Big, and we just talked about Vice Versa on Flashback, not just yesterday. 13 going on 30 coming up is very similar, 17 again. These movies really do take you by surprise because, like I said, there's stories we've seen done to death, and there's been times when it definitely has not worked. The Change Up is the perfect example of that, like Father, Like Son, 18 again. But then you get something like this, where it's just like, it's a breath of fresh air, and it just shows you what Lindsay Lohan really does bring to the table as a leading actress. This is where her career really began to take off, and then it would help that she would reunite with this director again the following year for Mean Girls. But this was the movie that really showed everybody that Lindsay Lohan really does have some great acting chops overall, but this was, of course, before she became notorious for breaking the law all the time. And, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis. What more can you say about her? She's an Academy Award winner now, so... But they do a great job working off each other. There's a great cast overall in the film. Mark Harmon, who was just about to hit it big with NCIS the following fall. And then you have people like Chad Michael Murray, Stephen Tobolowsky, Christina Vidal, Julia Gonzalo, Dina Walters, Lily Garson. I thought the kid in this was the kid from 2.5 Men, but again, that's we've already had him in another movie where he was the kid in that film, bringing down the house. But no, this is not that same kid. I mean, even he's got a lot of personality to him. Ryan Malgarini, I don't know if he's done anything else since then, but he really is very good in the film. The film overall, it's a fun, lighthearted film. It's a film that knows exactly what it needs to do to entertain the audience. It doesn't need to be groundbreaking or anything spectacular, but it shows you what Lindsay Lohan can do as a leading actress. Jamie Lee Curtis still doing what she does best. Still a lot of very funny stuff. Great direction by Mark Waters. Just not much more I can say about this one. It's a really good film. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It's a great film. Can't recommend it enough. Freaky Friday. So let's go ahead and move on to the last one we have here. Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts in Merchant Ivory's latest film, Le Divorce.
You meet somebody, do you say bonjour, monsieur?
Or just bonjour?
What sort of a stupid question is that?
This spring, two young Americans are learning about love, Parisian style.
You're a beautiful young woman. We must decide if you will become my mistress.
What do you mean? Become your mistress?
Didn't anyone ever tell you not to accept expensive gifts from men? It puts you in the position of having to do what he wants. Do it anyway.
Fox Searchlight Pictures presents
You in love?
a new film based on the New York Times bestseller, starring Kate Hudson, Naomi Watts, Glenn Close, Stockard Channing, Leslie Caron, Sam Waterston, and Bebe Neuwirth. Directed by James Ivory and produced by Ismail Merchant.
You are smiling too much. Too much smiling gets a girl in trouble.
Le Divorce. Everything sounds sexier
Je ne sais pas, le bleu.
in French.
I mean, you just showed Kate Hudson some sexy French lingerie. I mean, that's more than enough to sell me on this movie, even though it's funny that this film is probably one of the more noteworthy later Merchant Ivory films, and yet it's one of their worst reviewed ones, which, really, if you look at most of their movies, I mean, this is one of those ones where I'd honestly say that the fact that this is one of the worst reviewed ones, I think that that's completely over-exaggerated, but the story of this movie is that you have the differences in legalities and cultural morals in French and Americans regarding sex, love, marriage, and religion, and family bonds, and they're presented throughout the interactions of these two families related by marriage. You have an American played by Kate Hudson, who heads to Paris to visit her half-sister, played by Naomi Watts, who is pregnant with her second child. Isabelle arrives to find that Roxy's French husband, Charles-Henri de Pizan, played by Melville Poupard, I think I'm pronouncing that right, has just left her, and the sisters later learn that he has fallen in love with another woman who is married. Roxy and Charles Henry deal with their breakup. Roxy doesn't want it, but must face its legal consequences, including determining the ownership of a possibly valuable French painting that has been casually in the Walker family for years, for which Roxy has had her in her possession since she got married. Meanwhile, Isabelle begins to explore all that France offers, including embarks on sexual relations with two men. One is Charles Henry's older maternal uncle, the wealthy and well-appointed Edgar Cosset, played by Thierry Lhermitte. Again, I might be mispronouncing these names, who's also married and who's using the same playbook on her that he has had on countless women before her. As groups of individuals within the two families disagree and argue about certain issues that are facing them, it does not necessarily affect other issues and relations between the two families based on their priorities and their cultural and legal standards. But yeah, when I heard this was one of the worst reviewed films from them, it's just like, this is probably the best film they've done since The Remains of the Day, almost 10 years ago. I mean, I can't think of another movie that they've done in between those films where it really does live up to, you know, what you expect from Merchant Ivory when they're absolute best. I mean, James Ivory himself has spun off into his own, actually winning an Oscar for Call Me By Your Name for writing the screenplay for that movie. But this is a movie I really enjoy. I think it's mostly because I like the city of Paris. Midnight in Paris is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I think because of that, I look at this movie, and while this is nowhere near as good as Midnight in Paris, there's just so much to admire about the visual cinematography of the film. The cast is great. Kate Hudson, Naomi Watts, Leslie Caron, Stockard Channing, Glenn Close, Stephen Fry, Matthew Modine, Bebe Neuwirth, Sam Waterston, Tom Lennon from Reno 911. Just a phenomenal cast overall. The romantic elements are really good, and the film does a very good job of handling both the comedic and the dramatic aspects and balancing them out in a way that works in the film's favor in the long run. Plus, for Kate Hudson, come on. It's better than the last romantic comedy she was in, Alex and Emma. I mean, you gotta give me that. I mean, you gotta give us that, at least. But really, there's not much more you can add to this film that hasn't already been said. I mean, it's a film that I think is severely overlooked. I think it's a film that doesn't get the right respect that it deserves. I think it's honestly, the more I think about it, it's probably one of my favorite Merchant Ivory movies. I mean, it's right up there with stuff like Howard's End, The Remains of the Day, A Room with a View. What's another one that they did that I really liked? I think that might be it. I don't really like a lot of Merchant Ivory movies because I think most of them are kind of pretentious. Most of them aren't really all as good as they should be. I mean, they've got the great talent involved in it, but just the films themselves don't really live up to what their potential should be. But like I said, it's up there with stuff like Howard's End and The Remains of the Day as some of the better ones. One I think is severely underrated. It's one that I think you should definitely give it a shot. Even if you're not the biggest Merchant Ivory fan, which I'm not. I found a lot to really admire about this film. It's just, I thought it worked very well. I think it's a very underrated film. I highly recommend it. Le Divorce. Or as Box Office Mojo calls it, The Divorce. And you might be thinking, okay, that's not the same movie, but no, it's the same movie, and I don't get that whatsoever. I mean, but yeah, if you thought I was joking yesterday when I said that was like that on Box Office Mojo, there you go. But so that's going to wrap up this episode, and here's just a sneak preview of what we're going to take a look at on the next episode. I mean, we've got some interesting films, to say the least. Freddy vs. Jason. We have Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees duking it out. The Nightmare on Elm Street Friday the 13th crossover we've been waiting for. Kevin Costner makes probably one of his most underrated movies as a director, Open Range. Brittany Murphy stars in Uptown Girls with Dakota Fanning. Oh, this one I remember seeing in theaters. Yeah, I went to go see... Sorry about that. I went to go see Grind in theaters, so I have some memories of that one. Not the most memorable ones. In fact, most of the time, I think I've forgotten most of it, honestly, but I'll try to remember some of it when we talk about that on the next episode. Anything else here that I'm missing? Let's see. Oh, American Splendor with Paul Giamatti. So, and is that it? Yeah, I guess that's it. So we got 5 movies to look at on the next episode. We always do. We will take a look at all 5 of those on that next episode, which will be out tomorrow. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the place on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Take care.